Driving directions on your phone? Oh no! That's not fun! Navigate hands-free with Apple CarPlay.
Hey everybody, we're back like the plague. Joe's Minibike Reunion, Season 7, Episode 1, presented by our friends at Pioneer Car Electronics, as well as our friends at Studs Racing. Tonight's podcast is going to be awesome. We've got the king, in my view, of engine building and a current Joe's Minibike Reunion Hall of Fame inductee, Darryl Big Daddy Smith. Stick around and tell a friend. Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Joe's Minibike Reunion. We're back for Season 7. This is Episode 1. I've got to tell you, a lot of cool things happening in the minibike world. I want to begin by recognizing our friends over at Pioneer Car Electronics. How could I forget those guys? They've been with us since day one of Joe's Minibike Reunion. You know, at Pioneer, they're the global leaders in car electronics, and they're proud supporters of automotive events nationwide, particularly Joe's Minibike Reunion. No matter what you drive, Pioneer's got the gear to upgrade your sound so you can connect with the latest technology like Bluetooth, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and the popular Alexa. Remember, don't break up with your car, upgrade it. Find out more from our friends at Pioneer Car Electronics at pioneercarelectronics.com. I also want to thank our friends over at Studs Racing. Check those guys out at studsracing.com. They're your one-stop shop for high-performance parts. Check them out online. Say hi to my friend Eric. And ask for your Joe's Minibike Reunion discount, and they'll charge you just a little bit more. All right. Emmanuel, good to see you again.
What's up?
You've always done a good job with helping these folks find out where they can watch this podcast. I always screw it up. Why don't you tell them what's the best way? I know you can use your traditional ways, wherever you get your podcast fix, by all means. Like I use Spotify, there's others, but tell these folks the best way that they can stay in touch with all the latest podcasts.
You can watch it on YouTube at Joe's Minibike Reunion and on
Facebook as well. Can we still watch it on Facebook?
Exactly.
A lot of folks are on Instagram now, particularly this mini bike crowd. What's the best way for our Instagram followers to keep in touch?
Go on our YouTube page and watch it from there.
Okay, so I also have some updated information in addition to that. We're going to change our Instagram page. Some of you have followed me at Joe Sebergandio. Some of you may have followed me on JMBR Podcast. We've got a new one. It's JMBR Official on Instagram. We're going to probably change everything over by April the 1st or so. I'm excited with the fact that we're going to take out all the clutter, because I was posting pictures about food and non-mini bike stuff. This is all going to be mini bike. Everything and anything that you'd like to see, particularly for those of you folks who aren't out here on the West Coast. We've been having so much fun riding and spending time working on our bikes that we want to get that out to you. So keep out for the new Instagram page. We have a new website. We've been working with our folks over at SNDS Production. They've been helping us put together a new site. It's going to give you the chance to see what's happening with us here at Joe's Minibike Reunion. We recently touched, I think, the 4,000 level of followers or likes or whatever that is. Thank you for the support. We have the event date. It's in motion. It's the 8th of October. It's here in beautiful La Crescenta, California. I was with my good friend, Jerry, who has been with the Minibike Reunion for forever, and we had a nice review and walk around at the site. I posted it on Facebook. It's a great venue. It's a great park, and I want you all to be there October the 8th. I'm ready to sign the documents. I've got to wait, so it's 6 months before the event to actually get that done, but we've got a date, and we've got good plans, and we hope that you're going to be a part of it. I jumped on the phone, and I had a chance to talk to Rafa. And Rafa Ramirez, who is going to be supplying us with a big tire roller for a giveaway. So we've got that, and we also have a custom engine that's going to be built with the help of our first guest, who's going to be joining us shortly, Darryl Big Daddy Smith. Darryl is a Hall of Fame inductee. He's one of the guys that I would definitely call a good friend. He's treated me like a son. He's affectionately known as Unc to many of you, so you can see why. Darryl's going to be joining us, giving an update on what he's been up to. And we're also going to give you guys a look back at the recent ride that we took going all the way from Carson to Santa Monica Pier. That was unbelievable. I had only seen the videos. This is my first time actually riding, and we're going to take a look back at some of those escapades, which were a blast. And also, we've got some folks to thank that have always been there with us. Emmanuel, again, from D1 Productions, thank you for all your help. Looking forward to the season 7. Boom Boom, Dave, Nikole, and everybody that's been watching and following us over these last 6, going on now 7 years. It's been a couple years of funk. You know, COVID's been tough. We haven't been able to really get out there like we used to, right? But things have changed, particularly out here in LA where it was crazy. We're out having fun. We're riding on Friday nights with my friends at Honda Grom Lifestyle. We're riding with my man Sprocket, who'll be another guest upcoming on a Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast. And we'll also have Smokin' Jay. Smokin' Jay from Prestige Parts will be joining us about what's happening with the minibike scene in the Inland Empire. So there's a lot of good stuff happening. I'm working with Emmanuel. We're looking at a nice list of guests that'll be appearing on the podcast. And hey, if you've got some suggestions, just leave those comments on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, and we'll be listening. In fact, I'm going to bring up a comment that I received online that helped me find a clear path to inducting this next guest into the Joe's Minibike Reunion Hall of Fame. And with that said, let's bring him on. Darryl Big Daddy Smith. Darryl, thanks, man. You're always there for me. Welcome to the podcast. Good to see you again, man.
Thanks, Joe.
Glad
to be here.
Yeah, I know we sprung this on you on a little bit short notice, but like everything else, everything's short notice, right? When something needs to get done, we just do it.
We just do it. That's all. We just do it.
So, one of the things that we were joking about before we started taping was, how is it that 2 60-plus-year-old guys like me and you are still fucking around with these mini bikes?
Still out there.
Really, I was in there just getting ready to clip on the mic, and it's saying, we're going to be talking about mini bikes. This is stuff that's been around, like, somewhere lingering in my mind, like a good or a bad dream since I was a young kid. Still the same for you?
It's still the same. It's still the same. I get out and I have fun. I ride with everybody. It's still the same as when it was when I was 8, 9, 10, 11, riding my mini bike around the neighborhood.
Just, I say that in some of my old copy about the podcast and when I started the event, it's like, man, I just remember there was nothing better than knowing that you were going to ride a mini bike. That, I loved baseball and I loved Little League and I tried to ski and I did some other shit. I think I played a little bit of football but nothing was like a mini bike. I don't know if it was because I knew I could kill myself on one or that not everybody had one or if it was the gasoline or the burns from the mufflers, or the depression from not getting it running.
It was
it's
all of that.
Right?
It was all of that. I went through all the same things. And I tell you, when I would get out of school, yeah, I wanted to get on my mini bike and just go ride.
Where did you do all that? Give us a little bit of an idea of like
Inglewood, California is where I was raised, and my first mini bike, which is the cat that I have now.
Okay, you still have the original?
I still have it.
Oh,
my
that's
brother's
awesome.
my brother's friend gave it to me. It was just a pile.
What kind of cat was it?
Eliminator.
Yeah, those are the ones. Those are the ones.
So I got a motor off of a Edger.
Okay.
2 horsepower. Put that on there. Didn't know anything about a throttle. I just knew how to screw it to the frame, and somebody told me that I needed a clutch and a chain. I got that from cutting grass.
Okay.
And
making money cutting grass.
Making money cutting grass after I got the mini bike because I know I wanted it fixed. And once I did that, I went out and started riding like everyone else. The old Brigg and Stratton flatheads where you have to hit the throttle with your hand.
Right.
I rode around all through Inglewood with one hand.
The other one on the
other
throttle?
one on the throttle.
I had an old Clinton. My first bike was a Clinton, and it also had that dial throttle.
Yeah.
And you were, because cables broke, clutches broke, chains broke. And this was our first time dealing with those damn things. I don't know about you. I had diaphragms in the carburetors of the Clinton. So, obviously we were riding those things in the dirt, in the rain, in the mud, and we didn't know why it wouldn't run.
Exactly.
Until they start talking. Last time I heard about a diaphragm, it didn't include something for a carburetor, so it's tough to figure out. So we're still doing it, and we now we're in our 60s, and we're still loving it. You and I recently hooked up on the ride from Carson to the Santa Monica Pier and back. And, I don't know that I would have done it if I knew how far we were really going to be going and how many miles it was really going to be and what it was, because I was tired for 2 days afterwards. But as I look back at it, that's the most fun that I've had so far this year.
Joe, you rode like a champ. I mean, like, I really didn't think that you were going to be a rider like that. You were really out there, and I tested you on the way back. And the speed that we were picking up to, I said, okay, I'm gonna have to slow down so Joe can catch up. But I kept hearing something behind me. And I looked back, and it's you.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
You know why? I was afraid to be like, look, I hadn't been out, as I said. I had a chance to ride with Jake Moe, and I loved it up there at AV. We would ride with, everybody would be up there. Evil Ed would go up. My man Irving would roll up. All these guys, Corona Irving, the guys who would follow the podcast. And all the AV guys, Arleo and some of those other guys out there. It was fun, but it was different because many of the guys came out with smaller engines. You could see it, just a regular stock 5 horsepower. In fact, I had a flathead that was maybe a little modified, but not like the modified bikes, not these LA bikes that were on our ride. These bikes, so you had to keep up, and I had the reliability of riding a bike that you had already spent 2, 3, 4+ weeks helping me get done. So I had a little bit of that confidence. As you know, I had a couple adjustments that needed to be made on that bike, but I don't know necessarily how long it would have taken me to find them. They were simple. One of them was, I think, your master tuning on the fly of the Mikuni, and you guys have been there. They tell you fucking screw it all the way in, screw it back 1.5 times. That ain't working all the time, man.
That's not the answer.
And it ain't another quarter turn in or out. Right. And believe me, I'm more of a novice. When a guy like this is there, and Darryl could be fixing a chain, tying his shoe, and adjusting my carburetor. I think I may have seen you do that all at once. And it is an innate kind of a talent that you have now. I mean, the days of a carburetor stumping you, the days of having to repair anything on the fly. To your credit, I'm sure you don't stay up at night worrying about that. I did, because I really hadn't shaken out the bike as well. So it was fun. And man, I got to say that when I first pulled up, we started off at Carson. I think it was Martin Luther King Park, and just that, just the backdrop there was nice too, because I hadn't been really hanging out. The guys were all cool. Everybody I met, and you were kind of legendary over there. Everybody was trying to get a piece of Big Daddy. That's got to be a cool feeling too. When you roll up, everybody's, they're into seeing you.
It's a cool feeling, but it's so humbling. I just, I listen to the guys talk, and I just can't believe it because, you know, I still feel like I'm the guy out the garage that everybody used to come see. You know, we're just having fun.
Yeah.
That's all it was to me, just having fun. It still is.
So when we were out there, we rolled. One of the things that I thought was interesting is the fact that I had never really brought a backpack, because when I ride my Groms or even my little fuel-injected Suzuki 250, the Honda Monkey, these bikes are bulletproof. You know,
right?
I ain't
9
worried about
horsepower.
You know, I ain't worried about just the gas. Yeah,
That's it.
Just, you got it. 9 horsepower,
just a little
125
small,
cc's.
that's it.
But so with the mini bikes, especially when we're on the streets, and although there's a group, especially, you know, I definitely suggest that you ride with friends. But I guess what I wanted to get at is that you got to be prepared on some of these rides. People will say to me, "Hey Joe, I just saw that. How do I get to roll?" And it's like, well, you can check it out on Instagram. Typically, they'll post upcoming rides, and you'll find out, if you should, how to get to those Instagram pages and find out what's happening. You can reach out to me. I could help you too. But I guess what I'm getting at is many of you who may want to go on some of these rides, I hate to say it, you may not be ready. It's kind of like you used to play Pop Warner, but you may not make freshman in high school because it's a different game. A little bit of a different game with some of these LA bike rides. And it's kind of a conversation that you have to have with people that you care about, because they want to bring their little 3.5 horsepower torpedo. It's like that fucker's staying home.
It's not going to be a good ride for you if you do that. These guys have bikes that run pretty good.
Well, pretty good is, I think, kind of an understatement. Let's be serious. What we have, guys, is almost 100 bikes that are all modified Predators, typically sitting on a GTS frame, or some of the hardcore guys on a Joe's, right?
Yes.
Maybe you'll see some tacos.
Yes.
Maybe a couple of cats. What did you see out there? Now that I think about
I saw a couple of cats.
Yeah.
And I seen a couple of tacos. You're going to see those here in LA. And but everything else, GTS. Probably 70%.
70%. Yeah. And credits to Rafa for that. You know, there's no denying the fact that those frames, you got rollers for $800. You pop in your new Predator. What are they? The new 224s now? Or
224. Yes, that's the new motor.
Yeah, I want to get into a little bit about that too. But it seems like those do give you a little bit more horsepower. They do give you a little bit more edge. We'll find out whether or not that's scientifically truth or not. But the bigger the better, right?
There's no substitute for a cubic inch.
Plus, even if it's a little, because we're talking about a small bike, right?
That's right.
So we saw a variety of those bikes. We also saw some different bikes. There was a dude on a quad. There may have been some two-stroke guys out there. You come from the world of two-strokes. That's a bigger challenge when you're trying to take those two-strokes across LA.
Yes,
you know,
that's scary.
Well, the gas alone, right?
The gas, you know, you have to mix the oil in the gas, and they're not as reliable as a mini bike.
Yes. Plus, you don't want to get stuck behind them, right?
You don't want to get, right.
You'd be smoked out, not in the good way.
Coughing. Come home smelling like Castro two-stroke.
Yes. So what I wanted to touch on is that I encourage these guys that if they have a comment or a question or suggestion, to go ahead and send it in, because we don't get a lot of them, so we read them, right? So whether I'm looking at them or Emmanuel is looking at them, and one day I get a note, and it was, I think it was a direct messenger, the blue symbol, whatever that one is. You know, I get that confused with Twitter because I can't see. Yeah. So I get it's from Lionel. And Lionel's not coming across rude, but he ain't coming across like he wants a fucking autograph either, right? And the crux of it is that he is recognizing the fact that I've done a terrible job not recognizing you in the Hall of Fame, and how could this be? And he made some very good points, and I told him, it's like, hey, look, here's how this works. People get to make these suggestions. I've known Darryl, obviously not as well as you do. He shared some insight that I think I got a sense of. It had to do with just how dependable you've been with the mini bike community at large. Whether you point at the young guys like Otai Day, some of the trips I made down with Evil Ed at your shop, and just watching the spirit that was going on there. It's like it was clear, not only from me being there, which Lionel may not have known about. It wasn't as if I didn't know you, but he was very much an advocate, and rightfully so. And I'm happy to have had the chance to have called you I don't know if it's been a year now with COVID and everything, Dee, to again recognize and thank you for all your efforts and to say that you are going to be in the Joe's Minibike Reunion Hall of Fame, which is great and well deserved.
Yes.
We're working on some cool apparel for all our Hall of Famers. Working on a bunch of, everything's new. In fact, E put together a nice logo. We've got our diamond, and this will be our 10th anniversary for Joe's Minibike Reunion.
Oh man.
So we got jiggy with it. We got the little diamond shit going on. We got to do some things. We're still trying to figure out a color for the logo, but I've got some good stuff for you. You got a Hall of Fame hat? You got
Hall
one
of
over
Fame
there?
hat.
We'll bring that in there. Sprocket will find us. There you go. I had the chance to send this to you, and these aren't just floating out there. Got a little Hall of Fame insignia on the side there. Nice, nice.
You know, when I was in Arizona and I saw a guy with a mini bike on the back of his truck, and I pulled up next to him to ask him about his mini bike, and he kind of looked at me, but I had this hat on, and he saw the hat and he pulled over, and we started talking about mini bikes and racing that they do in the dirt out there.
Yeah. They're pretty,
yes.
you got a place out there. You don't
Yes.
have to tell you anything.
I was like, wow. He saw the Joe's hat and he was like, oh, Joe's. Okay, let's talk.
Good. That's
Yes.
nice. I've got to say that that shit rubs the opposite way, because when I had an opportunity to have you on the podcast last year, my Instagram blew up, and I really didn't have an Instagram following. You pretty much created my Instagram following, so thank you for that. And now, so I don't screw it up, we're going to try to make it one. Hey, we're sitting here with Darryl Smith. It's season 7. God, that's even tough to say. Episode 1. I'll admit it, I was a little bit curious about how bad I would be doing, but so far this has been too much fun to worry about things. I do want to say, guys, that as a reminder, we're going to be back like the plague. October the 8th, Joe's Minibike Reunion at CV Park in beautiful La Crescenta. We did a little site survey already. We got the clearance from the park, but we've got to wait for 6 months prior to sign the papers. That's when I get to sleep at night. We've got a great second half of this podcast coming to you. Stick around, tell a friend. Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast, presented by Pioneer Car Electronics and our friends at Studs Racing.
Does your car stereo get you where you want to go? Why not upgrade it? Get easy navigation with Apple CarPlay on the new Pioneer Next. Don't break up with your car, upgrade it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Season 7, Episode 1, Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast. We're here with Darryl Big Daddy Smith. Before we get back to Darryl, I just want to remind you that the big date's coming up, October the 8th, 2022, CV Park, La Crescenta. Joe's Minibike Reunion's our 10th year. Emmanuel spent a good part of 10 minutes changing this logo. I think, I don't know, within an hour he must have changed it 5 times, and this is what it looks like. We've got some cool Joe's Minibike Reunion apparel going to be available for you guys to not only take home for free, but God forbid you want to buy anything. The rest of it is all good. We're expecting, I don't know, I'd like to get to 1,000 bikes. That's always been my dream. When I walk around that park and I see it in its full spectrum, I know I've got room for it. It's up to you whether or not we're going to fill it. We made a little bit of a dent in it. It's looking nice. It's just waiting for you. So get your bikes done. whatever it takes, whether you need an engine built, whether you need to buy a bike, whether you've got one that's been lying around and you need a little help from your friends because you can't, I don't know, get the chain to stay on, Darryl, sound familiar?
That sounds familiar.
Maybe you've got a problem with the fact that you haven't started your mini bike for 2 years and you open up the bottom and it looks like there's honey instead of leftover gas, and you're in situations like that. I've been there. So whatever it takes, get your bike ready. You've got more than enough time. It's the 10th annual. It's the Diamond Jubilee, won't you? Edition of the event. Podcast Season 7 brought to you by our friends at Pioneer. Remember, folks, don't break up with your car. Upgrade it. Check them out at pioneercarelectronics.com. And if you've been stumbling around trying to find the right source for parts, whether you need replacement parts or go fast parts, who knows, maybe you need a generator, maybe you need another small engine product. Check out my friends at Studs Racing. Eric's a big mini bike guy. He'll be at Joe's Minibike Reunion. He's the one who brought that root beer wide body, I guess how I'll explain it, big fat tire root beer Wildcat, Harrison Wildcat. Beautiful work. And you would expect it. The guy owns Studs. Mini bike stuff's in his life just like yours. And you get barraged by guys like me who just don't quite have those skill sets that you do when it comes to engine dynamics. And you've been sought after as an engine builder and have the notoriety. I read something online recently where they had asked who they felt the number one, I'm not sure if it was two-stroke or just regular small engine engine builder would be, and that it always comes up to you. Did you ever think you'd be that guy? You'd be the guy everybody says is Mr. Engine Builder?
No, I didn't. I would just be having fun, just building engines. That was just the thing that I liked to do, and I really learned how an engine worked. And once you do that, you can start modifying it because you will know what it's going to need and what it's going to take. So, but no, I didn't think I was going to be that guy because I didn't know that I was going to be this much into engines
and be able to know them like you do. Like it's one thing, we were joking about carburetor adjustments and what else are you going to do? You're going to put on an intake. You're going to put on an F&B pipe. You're going to do those are bolt-ons, but what the tricks are the bigger valves, the cylinder head work, the things that they just don't print where you squeeze in it, turn in a half. When did you start to realize that those inner workings, those high tune, those modifying heads, those modified porting, the exhaust types, when did you really start to feel like you knew that shit, that there was no denying it?
Well, I've built my own race cars, motorcycles, boats.
So you've got all that to draw from?
Yes. But I really started getting in tune with these mini bikes probably about 6 years ago. Because it's all a learning curve, but it's basically the same principles. So, I apply what I've learned from, racing the cars and everything else to these small engines.
From small blocks to these little small.
These small was right.
And now these Predators kind of changed the game, right? The overhead valve motors, because we had talked about the old Briggs and the old Tecumsehs. There were many other options back then. And even when these Chinese motors came out, I remember Lifan was the one that was a little bit more prominent. People had heard about those. Predator was something that's like, what is this?
Right.
It came across kind of like a cheap.
Another knockoff.
Right, because everybody wanted a Honda, which is
Yes.
still, a great brand, and obviously if you have the ability or that's your thing, great. But the Predators, boy, what a change occurred there when they went from who wants one of those to almost like who doesn't have one of those now, right? So
they made the parts a little more dependable.
Yeah.
And that made it a motor that you can use. So they made the parts a little better. And once
you're a
they
dinosaur
get that,
now when you roll up with your flathead Briggs. No one's
right.
no one's out there.
Right. You might as well have that on a original style bike.
So I've been keeping an eye on Fast Lane Racing, and they've opened up shop. I'm sure anybody that's into the mini bike scene has probably checked them out. And I've seen you kind of have some stints there. Thank you again for helping me with my bike. It seems like there's a good spirit going on down there. We actually talked about maybe doing a podcast live from their new shop. A little bit more on that, as well as possibly having Lonell Johnson join us for a podcast. In Cleveland, too. Those are all familiar names to you.
Oh, yes.
What do you got to say about those guys and what they're doing down there?
They're doing it pretty good. They're doing it the right way in Fast Lane now. So it's a good thing that they're out there.
Yeah, people could drop off their bikes. I see all those young kids either walking in with a non-running bike
Right.
or walking out with a new bike.
Right.
What are the bikes that these younger guys want now? I see them rolling out with some full rollers, but also see them rolling out there with some modified running bikes, big GTS bikes, big frames, or
most of the people are buying stock bikes.
Great. No intake, no carb, no exhaust, just
just a stock Predator out of the box on the bike, and even at that, they can go pretty fast.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, a lot of people starting with that. These guys out here with these fast bikes, these fast street bikes. Yeah.
Are there too many of them? Are you a little worried that just anybody can come in there and go 60, 70 miles an hour on the street, maybe for their first time riding? Does that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's yes.
It's a reality, isn't it?
It is. It is. I built a bike for a guy in the valley, and it was his first mini bike, and I think he was like 26 or 7 years old. But he had the money to make it fast.
Sure.
I want it fast. Okay. And that's what he got. And
you wonder a little bit about that guy, right? His ability, because
today, I want to call him and see how's it going.
Well, you have an opportunity to say a little bit about that now. So the trick wouldn't be that, especially if you're new to the game, is because it's only $900 maybe to roll out of there. Mm-hmm. Plus the engine, maybe so $1,500 you can go pretty fast. And if you're not ready for that, or if you just assume you're going to jump on a little small bike and go fast, there are some consequences. What would you say to those folks out there that maybe don't really think about that, or just buy that bike and spend another $1,000 to buy all the hop-up parts and then go break their neck? I mean, because it happens.
Be careful, wear a helmet. That's what I could tell them, because it's hard to talk them out of it when this is what they want. And so,
maybe that's a little something that those guys in any other shop that sells bikes is, don't sell them a bike unless there's a helmet as a part of the package, because we still see it. At the mini bike show, one of the things that we're most proud of is that we have sponsors like the friends at Glendale Honda. And, I don't want their $500. I'd much rather that they give me a truckload of helmets, and they do.
Right.
So we give away helmets. We've been big advocates. I noticed that our ride with Sprocket, that was something that was suggested in advance. And with the exception of the one dude who was in his fucking pajamas and riding what appeared to be a lazy boy,
right.
He didn't have the helmet. He looked like he literally got out of bed and rode his scooter. But he was like only one dude that didn't have a helmet. And that it seems like you're not cool to roll up without a helmet. Those days are over, and rightfully so. So from a riding, so you've seen a lot of new guys get into it. You also have had to have seen the fact that a lot of these, like I see Rafa was selling his Cat Eliminator, his original bike, the one that you had talked about as well. These bikes are going for high dollars. One of the most recent examples we were laughing about is that bike that we used, many of you guys are familiar with on the podcast. It's the '68 Bonanza CR400 because it was a 4 horsepower, orange one. We led into this thing. It says 8, but it turns out it was 9. I found out from Joe Petralia from Arizona. This is our bike that we use for the podcast. I rode the shit out of this. I bought this thing for $500 off of the recycler. Remember the recycler?
Yes.
How would you describe the recycler? The recycler was pre-internet. You waited every Thursday for this thing, and you go to 7-Eleven, buy some rolling papers and a recycler. I used to seek mini bikes, and then 340 Dusters and Demons. I was into those cars.
Oh, okay.
And I bought this for $500 from a guy in Burbank. He had the CR400, and his brother had the CR500, who had just sold it. So I offered him like $50 less, and he walked away from me. I had to chase him into the back of his house to give him the $500, and it started on first kick. This is not original, as they mentioned. The gas tank is not original. The Kickstarter was on it. I think I used orange garden hose. That's what you see there. I put some disco clutch cover on the other side, the vented one you can see there, but it did have the original tires and frame and paint. Probably a good buy, but I would have never thought $9,000. So
Man.
what does that tell you about this hobby? It's like people now the non-enthusiasts are trying to come in if they're spending this money. You know, it's getting the spectrum of interest and awareness is getting wider.
Getting wider, yes. I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay.
I wish I hadn't sold it now, right? But it is. I guess it's just testament that hey, there is something going on here. And if you are into bikes and you've got an old bike, hey, you know maybe you need to take a look at that. I've been looking for a Honda. You know those little small Z50s, not the CT70s, the Z50s. Those are cool. 50 cc's.
Is that the one with the handlebars curled down?
I think they all do. So do the CT70s.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
Honda was just smart about that shit. They know they were so small you can just throw them anywhere.
Right.
If you turn those handlebars, I wish ours had turned down handlebars. Maybe there's something. Another thing I wanted to mention, although I may be giving away a pretty good secret here, is that you see the Kickstarter?
Uh-huh.
Doesn't that make that bike just a little bit cooler?
Yes, it does.
You know? So we got to make one for a Predator. You know? Somebody wants to go half-see on that. You know, I think I've got some marketing skills, but you may have the technical skills, but you know, we pull off that pull starter, we sell you a little Kickstarter, and you know those two brackets that where the gas tank sits when you change gas tanks on a Predator?
Yes.
Those two holes are just praying for something to sit on there. We all have our stuff that we need. In fact, I want to talk to you about some of the tools that we needed on the ride that we had.
Yeah.
But you know, having a little small tool kit, or even if you can keep your phone or your stash, or who knows what you want to put in there. So, you know, when it comes to aftermarket parts, or when it comes to the value of your bikes, or this industry, power sports segment within the automotive industry is a very small but growing segment. If you go to SEMA.org or SEMA.com, you can check out that, you know, they used to have a section for racing and performance, and then they would have a section for restoration, or truck and SUV, or maybe car electronics. There's a segment now for power sports. That's how big, you know, we're a bunch of guys having fun. Look at side-by-sides. Look at ATVs. You know, we know the two-wheel world, but now the electric bikes are coming on.
Right.
You know, some of these electric bikes are showing up on the ride. So this power sports segment that we're in, you know, they all used to be small cottage industries. There used to be small little shops, just like what Fast Lane Racing's trying to do, just what Tim's got going on.
Yes.
At small engine cams. We've got a lot of small folks that could be on the verge of really being a part of a burgeoning industry here. And these outside activities that we've had, as well as the fun that we've had meeting the guys that are into this hobby, to me it makes me want to go out and ride again.
Yes.
Hey, before we go, when you and I were riding, it was as simple as you just needing a spark plug wrench or a spark plug to stay on the road on some of these rides. Obviously little screwdrivers, or maybe, I don't know, fix a flat, maybe some extra gas. But were there any tools or items that you would suggest to some of these guys that may want to be a part of some of these rides that we were just talking about?
Oh yes, you should have a backpack.
For sure.
For sure, and you should have a few tools in there. With the Predator, you know, it has that spark plug wrench.
Right.
Just to have something, you know, you need something for a spark plug. You need maybe a flathead screwdriver.
Small one.
This is a small one.
You got
just
it.
so you could turn and a crescent wrench probably.
One that you can adjust.
The one you can adjust just in case you have to take.
And check it out. Many of these guys are rolling up with either a metric or a standard wrench, and it won't fit. Dude, you got to stick in a dime.
Yeah.
Sprocket knows you slide in a nickel if you have to. You can slide in between that space. You can take that up with a coin. So when you're on the fly,
Oh yeah.
you know, so you got
That's
those
how
little
you
tricks.
used to get home.
Hell yeah.
I had a pocket full of change.
Well, now you just got hundreds. Fix a flat. We talked about duct tape, zip ties, right?
Yes.
Right. The zip ties have saved lives with those things. So bring in some of those, and then gas for the two-stroke dudes, right? Bring in a little bit of as tough as that
Oh
is.
man, I had oil because I used to ride two-stroke. I had a bottle of oil, 2 ounces, just enough to do his one fill up,
Yeah.
and
They're
don't
doing it
even
on the
know why.
fly.
I
These guys are
didn't-
mixing it on the fly like chemists.
hey, that's how we have to do it.
Yeah. I say,
You know, okay, you know, you just do a rule. Okay, $2, 2 ounces. There it is. Boom. You put $2. You got it. You can, whether it's rich or a little bit lean, it's good enough to make it home.
there's going to be a lot of folks who are going to ask us after the podcast tapes if they can still send you their bikes, if you can help them with their engine. We know you've been bouncing back and forth. You've got a life to live. You're doing your thing out here in California where they all love you and they want you to stay. Yet you still have your other place that you have set up in Arizona.
In Arizona.
What do you say
that's
to
where
those
I
folks?
live.
Okay, so if you're in Arizona now, what do you say to those folks that want to hunt you down now?
You have to wait till I come back to California.
What's the time frame on something like that? Call you in the summer, call you in the winter, reach you on Instagram. How do you want everybody to try to
Probably
find
on-
you?
Yeah, probably on Instagram.
We got some cool decals here. If anybody would want any, just also have some other cool. What would you bring here with you, Darryl?
Fuel line and shut off valve.
So we've got someone got a hat there, which I'll keep. Thank you. Kidding. All this stuff's available. Send in a comment. Send in a question. We prefer that you check us out on YouTube or Facebook page, Joe's Minibike Reunion. As I've said, we've got a new podcast schedule. We're not filming live anymore, so you'll be able to check out our pre-recorded podcast for all season 7 on our Joe's Minibike Reunion YouTube page or Facebook as well. We're also going to plant some of the latest episodes on the new website, which is hopefully going to be done if I can get my self dialed in to make some changes shortly. We'll probably have that up and running for you the first part of April. It's joesminibikereunion.com. We've been sitting here with Darryl Smith on season 7, episode 1, talking about a bunch of things. He's our newest inductee into the Joe's Minibike Reunion Hall of Fame. He's available on a need-be basis, the basis being he needs, not what you need. I will tell you again, thank you in front of everybody for fitting me in. When a Jake Mo bike is built for you, you usually don't have anything else that you need to get done on it. But there were some things that I was negligent on. I kept it without running. So you hooked me up with my carb. You helped shave a little bit off that rear caliper.
Yes, sir.
You know, it was early in the morning when I saw that tire rub, and I thought it may have been me. So after I realized it needed a little love, you hooked me up. I do want to thank our friends at Fast Lane Racing for the handouts. I want to thank our sponsors from Pioneer Car Electronics as well as Studs Racing. Check those guys out as well. Darryl, I probably have missed something. Anybody that maybe you want to give a shout out to, or anything else that maybe I've missed that you'd like the mini bike world to know about, by all means.
No, I just like to say hey to all the mini bikers out there in Compton.
It's happening in Compton. You're going to be out there on the big ride. There's Sprocket from Long Beach,
Oh yeah,
as well as Ozzy and everybody else that seems to be
Sprocket's
on.
out there. I'm gonna be out there.
All right, so you're going to be riding. If Sprocket goes, and look, maybe there's a chance for you to get a second with Darryl. Is join us on one of these rides. I recently had been on one. I was thinking about really trying to get out there to the Neptune Net run. I've got some special guests in town this week that may prevent that, but if not, I'll see you guys when I see you. Been having fun with my friends over at Honda Grom Lifestyle. They've also been joining us on some of these rides. Big shout out to Bing Flores, who will be along with Darryl, also inducted into the Joe's Minibike Reunion Hall of Fame this year. Once again, that's October the 8th at CV Park in beautiful La Crescenta. Darryl, continue to do what you do, Unc. We always feel privileged when we have a chance to sit down with you, and hopefully you have at least a little fun when you roll out here with us. It's been a blast, man.
Oh, yes. I have a lot of fun. Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody, you've been listening to Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast, Season 7, Episode 1. We'll see you next time. Check us out on YouTube or Facebook, and we'll also figure out a place for all our friends at Instagram to check us out. We are going to change that Instagram page. We're moving over April the 1st. It's JMBR Official. So for those of you who care about stuff like that, that's where we'll be. And I'll look forward to seeing you on the next Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast. See you next time, everybody. Tell a friend.
Joe's Minibike Show.